There's a time when your regular buttonhole foot, number 3A, is not long enough because it does have a maximum length that it will stitch buttonholes to. So what happens if you need a buttonhole that's longer, or you need to repair a buttonhole stitch and like not just do it over, but just maybe a section of the buttonhole stitch? So there is an optional manual buttonhole foot, number 3. Get the 3C version that's coded, and then that will allow you for the wider width. And then when you go pick your buttonhole, so let's go ahead and pick buttonhole 51 and touch I for information. There is a man setting, and well, short for manual. And so as we pick it, what we're going to notice, it'll even tell you you need 3C as the foot. And then the steps are separated. So at any given time, step 1, we'll stitch down the way, or step 2 will, and it will go all the way around doing the different parts of the buttonhole. So what you are going to need to do is mark, if you're doing a manual buttonhole and it needs to be this length you want, you're going to mark a beginning and an end. So as I put this in, and I'll put it to step 1, and I'm going to sink the needle down. If I want, I can hand turn that into position, but I'll just go ahead and start to stitch. Go ahead and start. And then as it sews, you can see that step 1, or actually kind of goes to step 2 immediately. Step 2 is actually that is the left leg of the buttonhole. So it's just going to stitch. It's going to stitch however long you need it. So until you reach the length you need, so I'm going to just sew until my blue mark is right where my needle is. Then I can touch either the arrow to the right, or notice here it has a kind of a pulsating reverse button blinking here. So if I want, by touching that, it will move me to the next step. The next step is actually stitching in reverse. So it's bringing me back to where I started. And so I'm looking for my blue fabric marker that I did. Here it is, stopping right at that line. Touch the reverse button again, or touch the arrow. This will be the tack at the top, and it does just the right amount of stitches, and then it actually stopped. So even though my foot is still on the foot control, it just stopped there. Touch the reverse button. You'll notice the dark blue part of the leg. That's the right leg as it stitches. And I love the fact that the Bernina buttonholes both stitch towards me. So those satin stitches are equal. They don't look two different ways because one went this way and one went that way. So once again, I'm just watching to where I need to overlap. And if you have done a few of these to practice, you're going to find that if you actually are sewing, here we go, sewing is when this comes down, is don't get it too even, but stop like one stitch before, and then that way when it does the tack, it covers up the first one. So let's do that. Tack at the bottom, and it'll just do the right amount of stitches so you don't have one tack with too many stitches in the other. But notice there is one last setting, and that is a locking stitch. So just go ahead, let it do that locking stitch, and that would be the final part of this particular buttonhole. So once again, just like your automatic ones, but you get to control the length, or if you only needed to repair, say, one side of a buttonhole, you could cycle through until you get to the left leg or the right leg and just go ahead and stitch just that one part, because it'll stitch until you have gone as far as you need. So manual buttonholes are fun. We've also used this foot for doing some gathering. We were using it with stitch number 12 and actually gathering fabric up with this. So this foot actually has some multiple uses. I have also used it as a impromptu invisible zipper foot. So that would also be an option for you. So we'll click over to some of the gathering videos if you'd like to check those out. And you definitely, now you know how to do a manual buttonhole.